I think the issue, to come back to my original point, is not simply disinformation. The issue is much broader. It's whether we want to live in a free society or whether we want to live under what amounts to a form of self-imposed totalitarianism, with the bewildered herd marginalized, directed elsewhere, terrified, screaming patriotic slogans, fearing for their lives, and admiring with awe the leader who saved them from destruction, while the educated masses goose-step on command and repeat the slogans they're supposed to repeat, and the society deteriorates to hell. We end up serving as mercenary enforcer states, hoping that others are going to pay us to smash up the world. Those are the choices. That's the choice that you have to face. The answer to those questions is very much in the hands of people like you and me. Wow!
We've played by their rules, haven't we? We've spent a long time asking ourselves if we lived up to their standards, if we lived up to their credentials, if we lived up to our parents' standards, if we were meeting what we needed to meet in order to be good members of this society. But I'm here to say that that's been backwards. We don't need to be asking if we live up to our parents' credentials. We need to be asking if they live up to ours. And we need to be asking ourselves, will we live up to the credentials of the people that come after us? We've got it all backwards, right? We're looking backwards instead of looking forwards, right? I had a conversation today, a text conversation, with my own mother, in which I said, it's good to know that you have love and good things in your heart, but I don't live in there. The rest of us live out here in the real world. And in the real world, love don't count for shit if it's not in the work of your hands. Period. And yes, I do what I suggest everyone else do. I stand on business in my own life. There's a reason that I haven't done a lot of the things, said a lot of the things that I think need to be said. And that reason is, it shouldn't be me. It should be y'all. I'm in more danger just walking around the street already. I don't have to come out and say the obvious stuff. And I know a lot of y'all want me to, right? Because you want me to be your voice. But guess what? I'm not going to do that. You need to be our voice. You need to be my voice in those rooms where the power is held. You need to be the voice of people that will come after us. And you haven't been doing that, have you? Let's be honest. Sometimes you have. But like I said in the last show, a bunch of y'all just came back from the holidays. And what did you do on those holidays? And yes, if it feels pointed, if it stings, your ass needs to be stung a little bit. Because guess what? That's what makes you move. It is good to be supported. It is necessary to be supported. But sometimes support looks like saying, hey, babe, I love you. You should be doing better than you are. It is not always giving idle, positive affirmation. That's bullshit. That's not real. That's the world that y'all live in when you're at these family gatherings. That's the world that got us here. Right? That's the world that got us here. The world of idleness. The world of just going along to get along. And that world's dead. Because guess what? Each of these ice goons has some family members who has been listening to their bullshit for years. At holiday gatherings, at family gatherings, at their workplace, and just roll their eyes. You know, maybe sometimes lightly agreed with what they were saying. And even if you totally disagreed with them, what did you do about that disagreement? Right? And in your own, in your own lives, in your own world, right? Were you calling the cops on people around you for doing X, Y, or Z thing that maybe freaked you out a little bit? What's really good? Because we are where we are, and I don't even need to spell out where we are. Because guess what? I've been talking about this for a long time. Everything that we've been setting up is because this has always been coming. This is the inevitable end of capitalism, of white supremacy, of misogyny. This is the inevitable end of it. But guess what? This is not the end of the world. This is the end of their world. And we're here to usher in a new one. That's where we are. That's where we are. But in those birthing pains, like Gramsci said, this is the time of monsters. And as I say, in response to that, every time of monsters is also a time of heroes. Of people standing up. What I want to say, first and foremost, is I want you to leave here feeling good and having enjoyed yourself. Of course I do. That's why we do it. That's why I do things the way that I do them. But I also want you to leave here energized to be different, to move different. Because that's the only thing. Midterms ain't going to do shit. Okay? The march you're going to go to ain't going to do shit. Something I said as many as 5, 6, and I'm sure a lot of people here who heard me say that in their hearts pushed back against it. Because you're like, no, we've got to march. And look, I understand it. But right now, we are where we are because all we did was dissipate the energy that we had, right? The outrage that we felt at a particular moment, right? And now, the outrage that we feel about Renee Good being shot in the face by an ice coward, that's something we should feel. It's something we always should have felt because this has always been happening. Our world is currently in the midst of a gigantic shift. And I know we can all feel it. Right? What is being asked of us is to change. to become stronger versions of ourselves, more heroic versions of ourselves, to become fuller versions of ourselves, to become realer versions of it, to become the people that we were supposed to be if we weren't living up to the standards of our parents, of our grandparents, keeping traditions we don't believe in, doing things we don't like, aspiring to goals that don't mean anything to us except for we would maybe like to be in a certain pantheon, right? But everything we've been taught to aspire to is based on Roman Empire shit, right? Greek shit. And those were horrible empires. They were horrible, rapacious empires, just like the one we live in now, that is dying. But as it dies, it aims to take everything with it. Everything that we do from this moment on needs to be in service of the future we want. And I mean everything. Every dollar you spend, right? What you do or do not do. And, again, I'm not going to spell it out for you, but don't go to any second locations with any federal goons thinking that it's going to be okay, because it's not. We're still in the early stages where they're making examples of people to try and scare other people. I want you to think about this. If they came for me, what would you do? How would you respond? Would you think that I was calling for marches and peace or something? Because I'm telling you right now, I'm not. I'm telling you right now, there's only one thing that we really need to be doing right now. And everything that I have been trying to set up and everything that we've been talking about and building together has been to support things that we can't talk about, right? You got to read between the lines, babes. I don't have to say it for it to be there in my work, in my words. Have you ever heard me say, keep the protest peaceful? Have you ever heard me say that? Who is the group that I always talk about that is the, in my opinion, and also, according to history, the most successful, best attempt at fighting back against the American Empire that we know of? The Black Panther Party. What did the Black Panther Party do? What do they believe? How do they move? Right? I don't have to say it. But you gotta hear it. Right? And how do we know if you don't know? How do we know that you know if you don't act like you know? Right? Faith without works is dead. Love without action is meaningless. And love is an action word. And that is what we are taking into this new world. This week is going to be a lot, as the astrological weather report, which we're about to get into, will tell you. There's a lot in this week about healing old wounds. And, just getting into a conversation with my mother today actually was just so chironic in its nature. But it was healing to me because it was a circumstance where I decided, you know what? I'm just going to say what I actually think. I'm going to say what I actually feel. I'm just going to tell the truth. I'm just going to tell the truth. I'm not going to hide anything. I'm not going to play a role. I'm just going to be honest. I'm just going to be me. And if that's too much, if that comes off a certain way, it's out of my hands. What is in my hands is my words and my truth and my actions. And also doing what I say everyone else should do, which is live your truth. Right? Whether we're talking about politics, whether we're talking about gender, whether we're talking about sexuality, whatever it is you're talking about, right? Live your truth. Live it. And living your truth is actually what the world needs. Because that really brings connection. That helps you find the people who are really for you. We've got a lovely show for you today, including musical guests we've had once before, but listen, we gotta have them again because they are so very good. That is Square Symbols, and of course a range of other delightful things, informative things, fun things, weird things, because that's what we do, and that's what we're gonna keep doing here every week with your help. Please like and share the stream. Please do, because that's gonna help us get the word out and help us to find more of our people, because again, as I say, this show is organizing. And it's organizing that is relatively anodyne. We're just an entertainment show. We're just having fun here. We're just having fun here, right? We're not at all connected to other groups and organizing systems that are set up to fight back against us. No, we're not. We're just here having fun. We're just here having fun, right? I would do an exaggerated wink, but you know what I'm talking about. So, without further ado, let's get into this week's astrological weather report by Alice Pope of Alice Pope Astrology. MYSTRYXX, kick us off.
Well, Logan, we've got a big, busy week ahead of us in the stars. I told people last week to prepare for a lot of Chiron transits, and y'all, I was not lying. They are here. So, folks, the first part of this week might feel like we're just chafing against an old scar. But as we're hopefully able to alchemize the pain of those Chiron squares, we'll move into some magical, mystical transits towards the end of the week, and then finish it off with a refreshing new moon in Capricorn. So hang in there, everyone, and let's get into this forecast. Now, if you're feeling as cranky as I am today, Monday, January 12th, that might just be because earlier today, the sun was at 22 degrees of Capricorn, forming a square to Chiron, the wounded healer, which has been hanging out at 22 degrees of Aries. Now, remember, folks, Venus, Mars, the Sun have all been sitting on top of each other in Capricorn, with Mercury catching up there now too. So they're all experiencing similar transits at similar times until that traffic jam lightens up and they start separating from each other again. Venus was square to Chiron yesterday, and now it's the Sun's turn. The square is a relationship of friction and frustration, so you might notice that many of us are just feeling a bit stressed and irritated these last couple days. And with a square to the sun, we may feel our wounds being activated around our identity and self-image, our energy and how we share it and shine it out into the world. And then tomorrow afternoon, Tuesday, January 13th, we're following up with a square from Mars at 22 degrees of Capricorn over to Chiron. Now, Mars is the ruler of Aries, where Chiron has spent the last several years. So there's a good chance that this one will bring up conflict with others that triggers our core wounds. Our will to survive and thrive is being tested. Have you noticed? Have you looked at the fucking news lately? Right? So we may feel some pain points here around fear and courage, freedom and independence, passion and desire, drive and motivation. And we're likely to feel overheated and activated specifically in our bodies. So we want to focus on centering, grounding, cooling, and calming ourselves. Tomorrow, the moon will also move from sultry secretive Scorpio over into adventurous, expansive Sagittarius. And then on Wednesday, January 14th, we're going to change things up a little bit. Early that morning, Mercury, the messenger of the gods, also in Capricorn at 19 degrees, will form an opposition to Jupiter, which is retrograde at 19 degrees of Cancer. Folks, this is all about expanding our minds, seeing things from a broader perspective, inviting some of Jupiter's optimism and buoyancy into our perceptions, thoughts, and communications, which is pretty fucking needed right now, I think. This is a good chance to grow past old limiting thought patterns and beliefs. It's like our mental knots are being loosened, ready for us to untie them. And the sign of Cancer brings some healing, nurturing, warmth, and creativity to an otherwise cold, pragmatic Capricorn season. No shade to the goats in the chat. So just keep your eyes and ears and senses open on Wednesday, communicate confidently, but remember to listen as well, lest this Mercury opposition to Jupiter balloon you into a big-headed, arrogant prick. We wouldn't want that now, would we? The other transit happening late on Wednesday night or early Thursday morning for some of you, unless you're with me over here on the West Coast, comes with Venus moving to 27 degrees of Capricorn, forming a lovely stimulating sextile to Saturn at 27 degrees of Pisces. An aspect like this can be very grounding and stabilizing. We're mixing the wise, hardworking integrity of Capricorn and its ruler Saturn with the relationality of Venus and the spirituality of Pisces. So on the heels of these challenging Chiron squares now, we're getting easier access to empathy and compassion for others. Gotta love it. This transit could be good for everything from dreaming up future plans to creating art to shoring up our finances to committing in our relationships. Maybe you're taking some alone time to reconnect with your spiritual practice or just focus on your work. Take your pick, folks. Everything on this menu is delectable. Mwah. Venus does another cool thing here on the morning of Thursday, January 15th, as it forms a trine to revolutionary planet Uranus over at 27 degrees of Taurus. On a personal level, this is a great time to integrate more of your deep, authentic self into your values, your relationships, your creativity, and how you use your resources in the world. This could be a great time to shake things up and try something new in those areas. Like at the very least, try taking a different route home on your daily commute or changing up your evening routine with your loved ones at home or something like that. In the big picture, having the planet of relationships, equality, and justice in a flowing connection to the planet of innovation, rebellion, and revolution. I'll let you do the math on that one, folks, but you can probably see why Thursday has the potential to be a nice, productive day for us. Now, did you think we were out of the weeds with those Chiron squares? Well, you would be wrong, my friend, because Thursday evening or early Friday morning brings us one more of these. As Mercury passes through 22 degrees of Capricorn, it has its turn to be at crossed purposes with our old buddy Chiron. So we can expect to feel some mental agitation here. We may be very overly sensitive, perceiving things according to the old wounds that we carry with us, informing how we think and how we communicate. So bear that in mind here before you go burning any unnecessary bridges. And I would recommend using the mercurial tool of language to process what's coming up for you under this transit, whether that's some form of journaling, talk therapy, a conversation with a friend, etc. Now, on Friday, January 16th, we get to catch our breath and process a bit. The only news that morning is the moon moving into Stoic Solitary Capricorn, getting ready for that new moon on Sunday. But first, folks, we got to talk about the fucking busiest astrological day I've seen in a while, which is Saturday, January 17th. I don't know about you, but my poor Virgo brain gets overwhelmed just looking at this, so let's try breaking it down. The good news is that most of these transits are pretty nice. Like I alluded to earlier, Chiron is like a bridge, not only between parts of ourselves or between ourselves and other people, but between the personal and transpersonal planets of the solar system, between the mundane and the magical. And having gotten through all those challenging Chiron squares, the weekend will bring us a lot of contact with those deep, mystical outer planets. First up, lovely Venus will glide over to the very last quarter degree of Capricorn, forming a sextile to boundless Neptune at the fishtail end of Pisces. This transit stimulates empathy in our relationships, inspiring visions in our creative practices, and a feeling of connection and serenity in our spiritual experience. Beautiful. Meanwhile, the sun has now made its way over to 27 degrees of Capricorn and is forming its own sextile to Saturn. As with the Venus sextile Saturn earlier in the week, this transit can help to ground and stabilize us, and we can use this chance to really focus and direct our energy towards our top priorities and responsibilities. Next up, Venus crosses the threshold into Aquarius. And since Uranus rules this sign, we'll feel some echoes of that Venus-Uranus trine from Thursday. This is an invitation to really ground into our genuine authenticity, to continue deprogramming ourselves from the layers of toxic conditioning that we absorb from this fucking society. And whether that's in relationships, finances, creativity, or our internal emotional regulation, we're urged to do things in ways that really work for us rather than obeying societal norms. And we're encouraged to keep an eye on community, society, humanity, looking beyond ourselves as individuals. Remember, the revolution is built on relationships, so Venus in Aquarius is a great time to be working on those. Now, I do have to tell you that things will get super deep and intense when Venus is conjunct Pluto in early Aquarius next week. So come back next Monday and I'll tell you all about that juicy tidbit. But back to this bananas ass Saturday the 17th. Next up, we have the sun forming its own trine to Uranus, echoing these authentic humanitarian and revolutionary themes I've been talking about. This one is a great opportunity to take a fresh look at yourself, your identity, and how you're using your energy to contribute to the collective. Then the final transit of this day, which will be early Sunday, the 18th for most of you, is a conjunction where Mercury catches up to Mars at 26 degrees of Capricorn. At best, this transit can look like cutting to the heart of your tangled thought patterns, perceiving things very directly, communicating very bravely. At worst, though, this transit can inspire stress, anxiety, frustration, irritation, anger, and can kick up arguments with others. So please, y'all, don't pick fights this weekend. And don't waste your precious energy arguing with dumbasses in the comment section of anything. That's just my professional opinion, but I recommend that you take it. Whew, we made it through that wild day, which finally brings us to Sunday, January 18th. The highlight of this day is a new moon in Capricorn, with the sun and moon conjunct at 28 3/4 degrees of the sign of the sea goat. As always, a new moon is a chance for a fresh start. It's an opportunity to reflect on the last month and plan for the next one. It's a time to plant seeds and set intentions. And if you, like I, have not had the time or space or spoons to actually do your New Year intention setting yet, this is kind of our last chance to do so, at least before the end of Capricorn season, which is just coming right up. I can't even believe it. Now, a new moon in Capricorn is a chance to start something difficult. Capricorn is the part of us that allows us to do hard things, things we might not want to do, things that will build positive outcomes in the long run or avoid negative consequences that we don't want. So if you've been needing to sink your teeth into something challenging and intimidating, I say harness the energy of a new moon in the cardinal earth sign of Capricorn to get that shit going. And then Sunday afternoon, the moon will move on into innovative, unique Aquarius. And then finally, Mercury will end our week with 2 transits at 27 degrees of Capricorn. It'll form a sextile to Saturn and a trine to Uranus. A little bit of deja vu from these transits I've already been talking about. The Saturn sextile can help us to mentally stabilize and focus, and that Uranus trine invites exciting new thoughts and perceptions, sudden flashes of magical insight, and deeper authenticity in how we communicate with each other. Wow, what a fucking week. That is your astrological weather report. I'm Alice Pope. Logan, back to you.
There can be no rich people without poor people. The rich depend on the poor, but the poor don't need the rich. We only need each other. This is the power of the masses. Although indigenous people live in a capitalist society, we continue to practice people power. Pueblo communities feed friends and relatives on many ceremonial occasions throughout the year. The original purpose of this was to pry surplus from those who held more wealth and redistribute it among those who didn't, so that neither a poor class nor a ruling class could form. Everyone's material needs were met. There was no starvation, no homelessness, no alienation. Everyone was a relative, and everyone had relatives. Capitalism destroyed this world. We must destroy capitalism to bring it back. People power is the most direct form of democracy. Everyday people decide what's best for themselves, not the elite and powerful. The wealthiest in the world have refused to pay taxes for more than a century, while indigenous people starve and die of preventable diseases. We are of the conviction that crying on the shoulders of the man who stole your land is the opposite of people power. You can't smudge the murder out of capitalism, nor can you expect the powerful to give up their wealth out of the kindness of their heart. So, how do we get things to change? Lobby Congress and politicians? No. We reach out directly to our people, hitting the streets and galvanizing the support of poor and working class communities. Once community support is galvanized, politicians will follow. And even if they don't, we will continue to organize and build power from below that cannot be ignored nor crushed. Our leverage is people. Leverage comes from a movement behind you, and power comes from reclaiming your rightful path towards equal development. Only when people move do we build enough power to force concession and eventually win. Wow!
Okay, I'm going with you. This the Jenny?
Oh no.
What?
Just the sound of someone entering the fucking store.
Oh. Oh! Uh-oh. That-
Absolutely not.
Shoot that thing. No, shoot it again. Shoot it. Oh my goodness, shoot it to the meat. Oh my goodness. That was you.
Fucked up. No, that is so fucked up.
It was exactly the same outfit as. Oh, no.
Hello, hello. Hope you've been enjoying our show so far. I know I have. There is a lot of gaming going on in the, we have a gaming server, focused on Infinity Gaming, FOI Gaming. I will put somewhere, I'll put it in the chat later, how to join. It's the same sort of vetting process because we like to game. We enjoy gaming. It's a brilliant art form, a very important one, and really nobody spends more time together than gamers. Like, really think about it. It's actually also how a lot of the world has been radicalized. A lot of the vulnerable population of this country, and when people say vulnerable population, they're usually talking about, like, black kids, let's be honest. But really, the vulnerable population in this country is young cishet white men. And a lot of them have been radicalized by gaming spaces, and we're just going to do what we can. So if you are a person who enjoys gaming, any kind of games, like it's all, all good, and you are into the 12 values that we shared, and you are not a chud or a fed, hit us up. Join us. Maybe you can even join us at Citadel Omega, if you know, you know. But let's get into this week's installment of Lara Listens, which is our weekly talk about some of my favorite vinyl albums from my collection, and a little bit about the music, people behind the music, and whatever else comes into my head about it, because I just, none of this is scripted. Like, I just speak going off the dome. I just say what comes to mind, based on a lot of my, of course, hyperfixations. Anyway, let's get into it. What do we have this week? None other than Miss Lana Del Rey. Look. I simply don't care. I know she's kind of basic. I know she said some things that are not great. I mean, not like awful, you know what I mean? She's just kind of like regular white lady bad, not like actually bad or egregious. And actually, she's done some pretty good things for like indigenous, whatever. It is what it is. I love Lana Del Rey. Lana Del Rey's music has been super duper fucking important to me. This album especially. This album is just nothing but bangers. Born to Die, Off to the Races, Video Games, National Anthem. Also, little fun fact about me. I have like 3 or 4 drag routines to Lana Del Rey songs because they just hit that mark of like, it's kind of sexy, kind of sultry, but also like a little tongue-in-cheek, like not quite danceable, more like wriggly, kind of just like gets into your body. It's like, it makes you feel like you're about to go out drinking and doing a bunch of shit you're not supposed to do, which, I mean, she does talk a lot about, not for nothing. If I had the femme upbringing that I might have wanted, I probably would have been one of the characters in her songs. $1 Million Man, Summertime Sadness, and This Is What Makes Us Girls. These are all, like, so many good songs on this album. Highly recommend. Let me show you the back. It's just pretty simple album stylings. This is one you can listen start to finish. It's so good. It's just really just one of my favorite albums of all time. Does not have my favorite Lana Del Rey song, which, can anyone guess? Can anyone guess what my favorite Lana Del Rey song is? Put it in the chat. Put it in the chat. I'll give you a couple of seconds. If anyone gets it, I'll give you a prize. I'll give you a prize. I've just decided this very minute we're going to have a prize if someone can guess my favorite Lana Del Rey song. It's going to be a good prize. It'll be a book. It's a good book. It's a book that'll give you brains. Any guesses? Your time is running out, like the Muse song. Okay, it is West Coast. West Coast from Ultraviolence. So, not this one. Really, do recommend. Next. Listen, Minneapolis is in the news, and we did have one of the other greats. How could we not hit you with this one? Purple Rain by Prince and the Revolution. Look, there are so many reasons that Prince is one of the most important artists to me personally, but also just to us, to the world. Prince was he was absolutely about it. I mean, you want to talk about somebody who was for the people, for black liberation, for fighting against the structures, literally changed his name to a symbol, not just because it was a symbol of androgyny, but also it was both. It was a both and. It was both to change his name to a symbol for androgyny and also to fuck over a record company because they owned anything that was under the name Prince, but they didn't own anything that was under this unpronounceable symbol. He was, the number of instruments that he played well. Also, you have to think about the fact that people who perform a lot, especially in high heels, we're talking athletes. Literal athletes, right? Playing for hours, like playing in all kinds of weather. Have you seen Prince's Super Bowl performance? And we know, fuck the Super Bowl into the sun. It is what it is. But watch that performance. Watch it in a way that doesn't link back to them. See if you can find it somewhere. But it's brilliant. He was a brilliant live performer. And speaking of this album in particular, did you know that the Purple Rain, the recorded version, they wanted it to have a big, big sound. So they actually recorded it live. And a lot of the best parts of this song were ad-libs. It was just absolutely off the cuff in the moment. And they went back into the studio and they added stuff to it. There's a video out right now by, I believe, at Treehouse Detective. It's funny, I picked this album. And then shortly thereafter, it wasn't even, not like I'd even searched it yet. So it was, listen, if it was the algorithm, it's even creepier. But a video about this very album came out, which is why I was like, well, yeah, it's out there. It's in the stars that I should be doing this. But, Paisley Park in Minnesota, Prince, a couple other things about Purple Rain. It was originally a country song. And originally he didn't like it because it was too country. And then he, I think I wrote this down somewhere. He offered it to Stevie Nicks. And Stevie Nicks was like, it's too personal a song. Like, this is your song. Like, I can't do this. And then after it was recorded, he thought it sounded a little bit like Journey. So he talked to, I think Jonathan Cain is the name of the person from Journey. And they were like, I don't see it, but it's a great song. You should put this song out. It's a really long song for one that's so popular. And it has so many, it defies genre, right? And it's so emotionally gripping of a song. And all the songs in this album, there's so many great songs. I mean, the beginning of it, Let's Go Crazy, Dearly Beloved. It's so iconic that people who don't know Prince or know this album, you say Dearly Beloved, they could probably repeat to you most of the rest of that and not even have any idea. It just has entered the zeitgeist. It's so iconic. What else is on this one? Darling Nikki, come on now. Come on. Super hot. Just a super hot song, like a lot of his songs. And a lot of his songs, they're so specific that you're like, you didn't make this up. This happened. I know this happened. And let's just also talk about culturally how, at a time when Prince is one of the few human beings, few black men that has been able to just be hyper feminine and not only have it be okay, but kind of be celebrated for it. There are so many straight male comedians who have bits about basically wanting to fuck Prince. They didn't say it as such, or they wouldn't spell it out, but that's basically what they were saying, right? He was the kind of person who, and look, if non-binariness had been a thing at the time, I have my suspicions. I don't know, because also he had some, beliefs that were questionable. But I'm going to say this. I don't believe that Prince was supposed to die when he died. I believe that, look, when people say doctors or cops, they mean it. Okay? Just keep that in mind, right? Doctors are totally tied into this system. They get to decide literally life and death, right? In this society, we believe that doctors are, being a doctor or a lawyer are basically the only two respectable jobs there are in this world, right? It's really messed up. But I don't think he should have died. And again, Am I saying that he was actively killed by someone? I'm not saying that exactly, but also I wouldn't put it past them, because I think it's way past time that we start thinking about the fact that if people will kill other people for, like, I don't know, $1,000 and a can of Spam, right? Do you really think they wouldn't kill off one of the most powerful musicians and thinkers and speakers to ever live? Come on, right? It's funny how much we grew up believing in the benevolence of the overculture and, like, afraid of each other, right? Like, you gotta lock your doors and watch out for everybody because, like, everybody's out to get you. But the government, they've got your best interests at heart, love. They're gonna be right there with you. Of course not. We've got it backwards. Anyway, if you haven't heard this album, please listen to it from start to end. Let me show you the back. There we go. There we go. And also, as promised, the inside art. Get a little looky at that. And of course, we've got the lyrics here on the back with the moonlight on the water. Beautiful. Not for a for a can of sham chowder is wild work. Anyway, those are this week's albums, and I hope that you will check them both out, listen to them both, start to end, learn more about them, learn more about the artists, learn more about the music, and really give Prince a listen. One of the greatest guitarists, singers, dancers, performers. Just there will never be another. There will never be another like that. Actually, you know what? Let me not do that, because I guarantee you that there are people out there right now with just as much talent who just need a shot and haven't had the opportunity, you know? A quote I believe I quoted before and will quote again because it's such a good one. I'm less interested in the weight and convolutions of Einstein's brain than the certainty that people of greater ability have died in sweatshops and slave fields. Because it's all about us having a chance to really express ourselves, to really give the world the art that is in us, to give the world everything that is inside of us. At any rate, speaking of giving us the art that is inside of us, we are about to kick into our musical guest, Square Symbols, the amazing drummer and also content creator, makes great content. Absolutely follow at Square Symbols. MYSTRYXX, hit us up. darlings, look. Sometimes I just gotta jump out. Okay, darlings, look. Sometimes I just gotta jump out the base, right? Hit the ground, and run, okay? I'm putting in work. Let him have it. One on the ground. One. Oh, another. Bam, in the head. Down. Done. Who's next? Somebody else? Oh, behind me. Let me go. Let me go. Let me go. Already shot him. Here they come. Squads of them. Everybody go down. Down. Another one. Another one. That one's on fire. Down. This one. Run. Soldier. Down. Who's next? Down. Next one. Down. Let's see who's next. All right. Then we get and then we get Piggy Puerco over here. Down. Jump over here. What's coming? Who's coming next? Oh, there's a demo over there. And he went off. Oh, sorry, doggy. Bam. One in the head. That was flaming one. Gonna shoot him again, just to be sure. And look at the size of this hole. Okay.
If we, and now I mean the relatively conscious whites and the relatively conscious blacks, who must, like lovers, insist on or create the consciousness of the others. We must not falter in our duty now, and if we are, we may be able, handful that we are, to end the racial nightmare and achieve our country and change the history of the world. If we do not now dare everything, the fulfillment of that prophecy, recreated from the Bible in songs by slaves, is upon us. God gave Noah the rainbow sign. No more water. The fire next time. Wow!
All right. Well, that brings us to the end of our show. And I'm so glad to have gotten to come to you and bring you a little bit more of what's been swirling around in my brain, share with you some of the things like Toys You've Not Adored, otherwise known as Tuna, a song that I wrote in response to this particular time. If you can, it's on all the streaming platforms. It is, I think, also still probably on Spotify. Before I broke up with Spotify, I put it out on there. But look at the lyrics. It is, let's just say that it's a not that subtle threat to the vulture class. Couched as a sort of, I don't know what you call it. It's like a little Nine Inch Nails, a little 90s. There's a lot of things in there, a lot of influences in there, but something always new. When I make music, I just do what's I just take my guitar and a song and make it happen. I inspired by people like Prince. I don't believe in genres. I actually shared on Instagram, YouTube, various places, a video from a couple of years ago, because around this time, a couple of years ago, I got to have my song Quarantine Bay played on WFUV, which is my favorite radio station because it is the public radio station. It's kind of like if NPR just played the great music from basically every era. Highly recommend them, WFUV.org. No, I am not paid to say that. They're just good. You really should, support public radio, support everything people powered, like this show. If you saw anything that you liked, please do find the people who created it and hit them up. And something that we need to do, and it's basically the easiest and least that we could do for the world that we want, is to actively change the way that we interact with stuff, right? We are not going to just appropriate the factories as they are and keep doing the same thing, because that would make us extractivists. We are not extractivists, right? We listen to indigenous wisdom, which means that we got to do things differently. But also, we are not primitivists, because we made all this stuff. We want to keep the art. We want to keep the music. We want to keep the indoor plumbing. Listen. Your girl likes a nice thread count in the sheets, okay? They just shouldn't come from misery, right? And they should be made to last, so you don't have to keep buying them so they end up in a landfill somewhere or washed up on somebody's beach, right? There is a way that we can do not all the things, because we have to reduce consumption a lot. We have to reduce travel a lot. We have to change dramatically the way that we live. But also, there is a way to do a lot of the things that you're doing right now in a less extractive way, in a way that hurts the planet less, in a way that actually will make you feel better about yourself. The easiest one I always say is, if you're going to buy something online and you, for some reason, think you need Amazon, you don't. But if just use eBay instead. Is eBay great? No. But there are actual sellers on eBay, and Amazon is the literal feds that is literally working with foreign governments, you know which ones, to actually destroy the world. AWS, Amazon Web Services, controls way too much of the information. Amazon is one of the big bads, right? Ring cameras, that's Amazon. That's the panopticon, the opt-in panopticon, right? There are ways to do less harm every day, and it's a habit. It is something that you practice. It's a muscle that you engage, right? And I will say that is something that in my own life I am most proud of, is that I try to engage that muscle. I try to think about every dollar I spend. And some people think I go too hard about it, and I'm like, I don't believe that I am. No, I believe that I am responding accurately to what's in front of us. Because what happened to Renee Good, people are like, this is the first shot, the opening, and it's like, no. George Floyd wasn't even the first shot, right? But I will say this, it's possible for things to have been happening and for them to go into different eras and to become more dangerous and to become worse. And that is very much true, right? Because they're trying to scare white people. That's what they're trying to do. Because y'all are easy to scare. I'm going to keep it a stack. Because you couldn't handle a day of being a black trans femme. I'm sorry, you simply could not. And I'm not saying that, I mean, I was going to say no shade, but that's full shade. 100% underside of a willow tree shade, okay? Like, fucking low noon shade. But the truth is that you can do better, right? Privilege doesn't mean that you don't suffer under capitalism, because everybody suffers under capitalism. That's the point. The suffering is the point of capitalism, right? It's how they get you. It's how they keep you scared. But this is something I want you to think about. Capitulating in any way to avoid a bad outcome doesn't avoid that outcome if you're dealing with an abuser, right? It just delays it. Because when the cruelty is the point, there's nothing you can do to appease. If you're dealing with a sadist, they're gonna hurt you at some point. Period. That's what they do. That's what they do, right? And we live in a sadistic society. Misogyny is inherently sadistic. Okay? It is inherently telling men, people, who are born men and who are cis men, it's telling them, hey, you kill your own heart and you do whatever the fuck we tell you to do to yourself, to anyone else. And you know what we'll do? we'll issue you a woman and we'll maybe let you have a little nice house. You know, a man's home is his kingdom. You get to be a king in your own little picket fence. You get 2.5 kids. And if you don't say anything against us, maybe we'll even let you live to old age and eat something decent every now and again and have someone at home to serve you and children to pass on your name, which isn't your name, which is the lineage of some rich white guy many, many years ago, but whatever, right? This is the bargain. This is the inherent cruelty of it, right? A man's home is his castle, but they don't say anything about the wife or the children. Women and the future get no say. The inherent cruelty of it. And there is no way to appease that inherent cruelty. Capitalism is the same thing. Capital, right? The golden rule, whoever has the gold makes the rules. You own the factory, you can do whatever you want to your serfs, right? The cruelty is inherent. In all of these systems, the cruelty is inherent. You cannot appease them. And we are past the point where voting right, acting right, not saying things out loud, we're past the point where any of that is going to save you. And we've been past that point. But now what they're trying to do is they're showing you, rather than giving white people more stuff in order to get them to buy in, now they're like, actually, now we don't have to give you anything. We'll just beat your ass too. We'll shoot you in the face too. And you better fucking comply. So, what I'm saying is, don't. Do not comply. Refuse. There is no business as usual. It is all canceled. Okay? And if somebody gives you some shit, you give them back twice, 3 times, as many times as you can give it. And, you know, a lot of the times people will add the caveat of like, be safe. But guess what? It's not safe. None of us are safe. Think about the fires that happened in California, right? Entire towns vanished. And it was all preventable. But the cruelty of white supremacy meant that we didn't listen to indigenous wisdom about how to handle fires in fire season, about where to build things, where not to build them, places where nature should just do its thing and we should stay away from. We didn't listen because of the inherent cruelty, right? And look what happened. And on top of that, places like Altadena, California, which was a town with, I believe, 60% black ownership of houses, that basically disappeared from the map. So even in a natural disaster, black people still get it first and worst. But y'all get it too. There is no safety, except for what we create for each other, except for by building community, except for by being in community, except for by doing acts of kindness, of love, and real resistance, not hashtag resistance. And that also means, yes, refusing to go with people using your rights. Let's just say there's some rights that you should really be looking into right now. And there's not everyone, lots of people will say something like, I can't, no, like, I don't feel comfortable. I don't give a shit what you feel comfortable with, right? If you don't got one or know how to use one, make sure you know somebody who does. Period. This is not a game, right? This is for our lives. This is for the future, the world's future. If they're going to go after Greenland, baby, do you think they're not going to go after you? Greenland. They're literally talking about taking Greenland. Nothing's safe anymore. Ain't none of us safe, right? The danger is inherent because the cruelty is inherent. But they are overestimating themselves and underestimating us because it's all about us. Right? It's all about what we do. And you will not see the actions that everyone is taking. You will be looking maybe for the next big march to join. That's not it, babes. Nobody cares about the march. They love the march. They love the march, right? Especially these marches where people are signing up to go to them and just giving them a fucking list of who to go after next after they've come after all the trans people and all the immigrants. Goofy shit. Goofy shit, okay? The stuff you can do and need to be doing is much closer to home, much closer to your families. You know somebody who needs to have their life made more difficult in some way. And you're uniquely positioned to do that. And I often will couch some of these things in like, well, I don't really mean anything by that. Yes, the fuck I do. I mean it. I am deadly serious. Right? Act now. Do something even you didn't think you would do. Because if you don't, we know what's going to happen next. We know. We know. And like I often say, I don't know if we've got this, but I know we've got each other. And I also know there's more we can do than we think we do. Much love to everyone. I want to thank y'all for being with us on this, the 6th episode of the Focused on Infinity Hour, more or less. I want to give a big thanks to Square Symbols, to Alice Pope with Alice Pope Astrology, to everyone who has commented and who has been following the show and sharing it. Don't forget to like the stream and share it as well on the way out, and to start a watch party. Get your friends to join us, and get your friends also to plug in to the other ways that we are doing organizing and using these connections in order to make a better future. You know what those are, and if you don't, you better ask somebody, you know what I mean? And of course, to my collaborator and number 2 in crime here, that is the excellent, excellent MYSTRYXX. MYSTRYXX, take us out for the night. I'll see y'all next week.